Welcome to the Song of Shadows, a story of mystery, magic and destiny. Naira, a young woman marked by ancestral powers, has always lived between the adoration and fear of her people. But the day his home was burned to the ground by unknown forces, his life changed forever. Join me on this epic journey, where we will discover the truth behind her lineage, the curse that weighs on her soul, and the dark bond that unites her with her lost sister, Isolde. Centuries ago, in the heart of a forest forgotten by time, a girl named Naira was born. His mother, a healer of the Aelthur tribe, had dreamed of his birth years before, a vision in which the moon bathed the world in violet light and the trees whispered his name in the wind. From a young age, Naira demonstrated inexplicable gifts. She could understand the language of animals, feel the emotions of trees, and see shadows that did not belong to the world of the living. The tribe feared her, but also revered her, because with her mere presence the harvest flourished and diseases dissipated like morning fog. But the harmony was not destined to last. At the age of 17, during the Red Moon Festival, Naira had a terrifying vision. In it, the sky was torn like a veil and creatures with empty eyes and ashen skin emerged from the crack. When he woke up, he knew that the balance of the world was in danger, and that his destiny was tied to a force he barely understood. Naira had a strong and determined personality, forged in the solitude of her gift. She was observant and reserved, with a wisdom that seemed not to belong to her age. Her empathy with nature contrasted with her difficulty trusting humans, since she had learned since she was a child that people fear what they do not understand. He had an unbreakable spirit, but inside he struggled with the weight of his legacy and the uncertainty of his destiny. Visually, she was a young woman with pale skin, as if the sunlight was barely touching her, with long dark hair that moved like liquid shadows in the wind. Her eyes were a deep green, reflecting the forest of her birth, and when the magic flowed within them, they lit up with an eerie golden glow. He carried with him a cloak of black feathers, inherited from his mother, and an obsidian dagger engraved with ancient runes. On the day he turned 18, a night of eclipse, his town was devastated by a storm of shadows. Spectral creatures emerged from the earth and devoured everything in their path. Naira tried to save her people, but it was too late. The village was left in ruins, the spirits of her ancestors cried out from the earth, and she found herself alone on the threshold of a world to which she did not belong. Heartbroken and a desire for revenge burning in his chest, he set out on a journey to Mount Valkyr, where the goddess of shadows was said to sleep. There he hoped to find answers about his connection to the hidden world and, perhaps, a way to reverse the destruction of his home. The road was full of trials. In the Forest of Souls, he found a man named Kale, a wanderer marked by a curse that bound him to eternal night. His golden eyes hid secrets and his skin burned with contained power. Kale warned her that the goddess of shadows did not grant wishes without a price, but Naira was determined. Upon reaching the top of the mountain, she discovered that the goddess was not an external entity, but something that had always been within her. His lineage belonged to a forgotten order, the Sons of the Penumbra, guardians of the veil between the worlds. Naira understood that her destiny was not to avenge her people, but to restore the balance between light and shadow, preventing chaos from devouring reality. But a new obstacle stood in the way. a figure emerged from the mist, a woman with the same intense gaze as Naira. It was her lost sister, Isolde, raised by the same dark forces she was meant to stop. Isolde had been taken while she was still a baby and given to a cult that worshipped the primal darkness. He grew up in the City of Whispers, a place hidden between the cracks of time, where shadows slipped like living creatures and the moon never shone. There, she was indoctrinated to believe that the light was a deception and that only the shadow brought the absolute truth. Over time, her power grew, becoming the voice of the entities that lived beyond the veil. Isolde possessed a ruthless and seductive personality, with a mind as sharp as a knife and an unwavering devotion to her cause. Her voice was hypnotic, and her gaze, a spectral blue, seemed to see through souls. Her skin, paler than Naira's, had an almost translucent hue, as if she were halfway between the material world and the ethereal. Her hair, silver with dark highlights, moved with an undulating effect, as if floating on an invisible current. She wore a cloak of living shadows that seemed to whisper as he walked, and her weapon was an onyx staff, carved with the forgotten names of ancient gods. The reunion between the two sisters was not one of love, but of conflict. Isolde wanted to break the veil and free the shadows completely, convinced that the world must be reborn in absolute darkness. For her, Naira was nothing but an obstacle in her mission. The battle between sisters was devastating. Each spell cast rent the air with an echo of ancient prophecies. Naira, with the power of the goddess awakened within her, managed to encase Isolde in a seal of light, but the price was high. The veil was weakened and she herself was marked. Her shadow was no longer hers, but an entity that followed her, whispering forbidden truths. However, in the final moments before the seal closed, Isolde gave him an enigmatic smile, one that was neither hate nor defeat, but certainty. "We will meet again, sister," he whispered with a spectral echo, and his form faded into the prison of light. That moment left Naira with an unsettling feeling. He knew that Isolde still had cards to play. Now, burdened by her past and the weight of an uncertain future, Naira wanders between worlds, trying to repair what has been broken. But in every corner of the wind, he hears the echo of his sister's voice, promising that he will return, and that this time, the shadow will claim what belongs to him. Her nights are plagued by visions of a torn world, where Isolde walks among ruins, her eyes shining with a blue glow and her laughter echoing into eternity. Naira knows that her fight is not over, that her destiny is sealed in a cycle that seems to have no end. Naira's story is not over. It is just the beginning of a new cycle of light and darkness, of a battle that will be fought until the end of time, where one sister fights for balance and the other for eternal oblivion. What did you think of this story? Do you think Naira will be able to resist the call of the shadow? Or will Isolde manage to fulfill her destiny? Leave me your opinion in the comments, I'll be reading them. If you liked this story, don't forget to leave your like, share the video with your friends and subscribe to the channel for more epic content like this. Activate the bell so you don't miss any new stories. Leave me in the comments if you want a continuation or more stories of this style. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the Song of Shadows. See you in the next video. If the shadows allow us,